I want to talk to you about step van business loans that quickly approve you this year. And particularly, I want to focus on seven business lenders can, that can really transform your business this year. So if you have a step van business and you want to really have access to the best business loans in this industry right now, here's a review I want you to pay attention to. So the first step van business loan that quickly approves is actually Outline. And when you think about Outline, I want you to think about a step van business lender, but also a more flexible business lender overall. Because Outline actually, so besides financing, they do also invoice factoring, but also freight factoring. So, and this player has been in the industry for a while. The maximum they will fund this year when it comes to step van business, they will get you a loan, a business loan up to $250,000. That's the maximum. And FICO score that they want, your personal FICO score, like 575. Now there is a way actually that Outline will approve you by verifying your business credit score. So if your personal credit score is not really that strong, but your business credit score, your step van business credit score happens to be stronger, you are able to actually put that forward. You can tell Outline, and they will look at your step van business's financial solidity. They'll look at the cash inflows and cash outflows. They'll look at the income statement. They'll look at the balance sheet, and they'll also see your load history, like your load sort of transactional volume for the past 3 months, and they will give you a loan to based on that. So maximum $250,000. There is no minimum, so you can actually get a step van business loan from Outline for $5,000 or $10,000. Maybe you don't need the cash to buy a new step van. You just need the cash to run the operations of your step van business. Okay, so you can actually borrow as much as you want. But the maximum is $250,000. And the thing is that when you also think about Outline, I want you to think about flexibility, but also speed. Outline tends to actually fund you real fast. So this is another advantage when it comes to step van business loans that quickly guarantee you. If you're looking for a step van business loan that quickly approves you, I want you to think about Lendio. And so Lendio is a solid player. You will love the fact that Lendio is very generous too. Now Lendio, I need to really clarify that Lendio is not a direct lender. So Lendio is a lender platform. So this is kind of cool. But the cool thing is that Lendio gives you access to a larger array of step van business loans. As a matter of fact, you can qualify for up to $5 million. $5 million. That's really fantastic. And Lendio wants you to be like a minimum FICO score 500, and there is no down payment required. So you have about 70 to 80 lenders within the Lendio's network. So you basically can get approved real fast. Okay. So whether you are an owner operator seeking to buy a new step van or an owner of a larger fleet looking to invest in fleet management software, there are many financing options tailored to the delivery business. Okay. So it's one of those things where if you partner with Lendio, you can get approved real fast. Now with Lendio, the easiest way to actually kick off the conversation is to give them a call. Do not rely on the website. The website is kind of cool, but the website is better after you have talked to a live rep. Okay, give them a call, have a conversation with a live rep. You want to answer all the questions and provide all the answers, and then once you are pretty comfortable, you can go through the process of obtaining a step van business loan through Lendio. Okay, but maximum $5 million. That's really good. You also have through Lendio, you can actually secure a leasing agreement. So Lendio is not just good for step van business funding. It's also great for step van leasing opportunities. So you're able to actually instead of let's say buying a step van and actually getting a loan, you can actually can apply for a leasing arrangement through Lendio, and Lendio will actually will study your application, and the platform will approve you. And Lendio, even though the Lendio is actually great in terms of funding you real fast, it's still relatively long. In other words, it might take somewhere from 1 day to 7 days. Okay, so just be aware of that, and it's normal because Lenio is a lender platform. So once you apply for a step van business loan through Lenio, your business loan application should still be dispatched to all the members of the network, and then you have to wait for any particular lender to particularly decide to study your application even further. If you are looking for a step van business loan that quickly approves you this year, I want you to think about Balboa Capital. And Balboa Capital actually is pretty good in the sense that you have access to a lot of funding, and on top of that, you have access to Ameris Bank. So Ameris Bank is a member of FDIC, and you can actually be approved for a larger loan amount through Ameris Bank. But coming back to Balboa Capital, you can actually secure a step van business loan, maximum loan amount of $500,000 through Balboa Capital. Okay, so this is kind of cool, and you are going to love the fact that Balboa Capital allows you to actually be approved with a minimum FICO score of 600. This is kind of cool. Okay, and you are also able to once you get approved, you can get your cash actually on the same day. So Ameris Bank through Balboa Capital is really fast in funding step van business loans, especially if all the paperwork has been received. Okay, so think about when you think about Balboa Capital, think about a convenient online application process. In some cases, you could also pre-qualify for this step van business loan. In other words, there is no sort of hard pull. You go through the process and see how much you could qualify for if you were to actually you were to actually apply. Okay, and but maximum you can borrow is $500,000. $500,000. That's it. Okay, and but in terms of pricing, really, Balboa Capital is not really sort of transparent. For instance, there is no way to know how much in terms of API you have to pay. The repayment terms are not disclosed. Okay, like things like the repayment window, right? And but Balboa Capital wants you to be in business for 1 year. So you have to be in business for 1 year to actually qualify as a preliminary requirements for Balboa Capital. Okay, 1 year, that's really what they want. But one thing you can do is if you have a younger company, if you have a startup, you can always partner with an established company to actually you can actually use their credit score, their longevity, their operational history as a criterion when being approved for a loan by Balboa Capital. If you're looking for a step van business loan this year, I want you to think about CAG Truck Capital. And this lender, actually, the name says CAG Truck Capital, but CAG actually finances all kinds of business loans in the transportation industry, including step van business loans, cargo van business loans, sprinter van business loans, and also all kinds of business loans. And the thing is that CAG Truck Capital is also very flexible in terms of the FICO score it will accept. On top of that, so minimum FICO score 575 to 600. And on top of that, CAG Truck Capital will work with you to make sure that you get if you don't want to finance your step van, but you just want to lease it, you can work with CAG Truck Capital to actually negotiate and see what kind of leasing arrangements they have. Okay, so that's really good. And but CAG Truck Capital is really flexible with all kinds of credit score. Though it doesn't matter if you have a bad credit, if you have a crappy credit, yeah, I can see it. Bad credit, crappy credit, fair credit, good credit, whatever. They will work with you, not a problem. Okay, even if you have filed for bankruptcies in the past, they will work with you. Okay, but CAG Truck Capital, kind of similar to Balboa Capital, is pretty mum when it comes to APR, when it comes to price transparency. Okay, you don't have a lot of info. Even when we contacted CAG Truck Capital, they weren't willing to give us the answer unless we actually went through a whole application process. So this is something to really think about. So you may have to go through a whole application process to know how much CAC Truck Capital will actually charge you for your step van business loan. Okay, and on top of that, just remember that the speed of funding through CAC Truck Capital is really bad. So CAC Truck Capital will finance you anywhere from 1 week all the way to 3 weeks. So there is a possibility for you to really like, by the time you go through CAC Truck Capital financing, it's just better just to do your own stuff, because otherwise they're just taking their time. They're taking too much time anyway. If you are looking for step van business loans this year, I want you to consider commercial fleet. And this is a big player that you should really think about this year. And when you think about CFF, actually, that's the commercial fleet financing. It's not just commercial fleet, but a commercial fleet financing. And so CFF actually finances all kinds of step van business loans. And when it comes to step van business loans, CFF is pretty flexible. I mean, not that generous, because the company will give you a maximum loan amount of $150,000. But the good thing is that you are able to actually get approved with a FICO score around 525. Okay, now $150,000, you probably could get yourself a few Sprinter vans. Okay, you might get 2, 3, 4, 5, especially depending on the model and the make. If you want a newer model, it will cost you more. That makes sense. But the thing is, if for any reason you do not want to go through the application process through a CFF, the step van business funding process, you can also negotiate a leasing agreement through a CFF. So CFF will help you get a step van business leasing arrangement to sort of carry out your business. Okay, so this is kind of cool. And also with CFF, you might not need to sign a personal guarantee, which means what? Which means that if you become personally responsible, unless you have that PG. If you don't sign it, then you're not personally responsible. But when you sign a PG, then of course you are personally responsible. Now it really depends, because CFF has stopped actually asking borrowers to sign a PG agreement. I mean, especially during COVID, when they realized how the industry was really pretty weakened, they want to have customers. That's all. Okay. And with CFF, unlike CAC Truck Capital or Balboa Capital, financing happens real fast. So financing your step van business through a CFF is a great move, especially if you want your cash real fast. So CFF will finance you within 12 to 24 hours, as compared to 7 to 35 days with another lender. If you're looking for a step van business loan this year, I want you to think about First Capital Business Financing. So First Capital is really great in terms of flexibility, but also in terms of opportunity when it comes to a step van business. Okay, and so First Capital actually will finance all kinds of business opportunities for you, including buying the vehicle itself, or just financing your operations, financing your step van business's operations. Okay, and maximum with First Capital is actually it really depends, but the maximum is $100,000. But if you have a low FICO score, it will cap you at $49,000. So it's one of those things where you have to, like, the lower your credit score, the lower the loan amount you are getting through First Capital. One thing I want to say is that basically you are able to also qualify faster for a step van business loan through First Capital by actually putting a down payment. So if you put a down payment of 1 to 10%, you can get financing with no minimum credit score. So that's kind of cool, because basically you are partially assuming the risk of, like, the default risk with First Capital. Okay, but one thing you want to do here is that you want to really give First Capital a call. This is kind of similar to the process you go through with LendU. So you want to call First Capital first to ask all questions before you actually place place the order. Before you actually start the application process. With First Capital Business Finance, there is no soft pull for your step van business loan. In other words, when you're ready, you just put in the application, and they will check your credit. They'll do a hard pull right away, and just to see if you qualify. But the thing is, overall, First Capital tends to approve all kinds of credit score. It's just that when you have a low credit score, you're not going to be approved for a larger step van business loan amount. As long as you're comfortable with that, then you are good to go. Also, one thing I need to say that, but besides step vans, First Capital actually has they have all kinds of commercial truck financing options available to established and trucking companies. Okay, established trucking companies and startups alike. So this is kind of cool. If you are looking for a step van business loan this year, I want you to consider national funding. And national funding is really good also in terms of flexibility. And so it's great. The maximum you can finance in terms of step van business loan through national funding is $150,000. Okay, but the cool thing is national funding is really fast, and they are known to the transportation industry, so that helps a lot. Like if you know someone who got approved for a step van business loan through national funding, this really gives you some kind of like some kind of encouragement. Okay, and on top of that, national funding actually allows you to finance your step van business loan 100%, maximum 100%. You don't have to put any down payment to actually qualify for like a lower or higher amount. No, 100%. And you also have there are no upfront fees or down payment required. Okay, and also you have the ability to use Section 179 tax deduction. So this really helps you in terms of reducing your revenue because as you know, 179 tax deductions is actually those deductions are great when it comes to minimizing your tax obligation and your cash outflows in general. Okay, this is kind of cool. And national funding has been in the industry for more than 10 years now. So and they have catered to all kinds of step van businesses across the nations. So that's really good in terms of flexibility. You will love that. And you also can work with funding specialists who care. So you have experienced step van business specialists that can help you make the right decision, not only right now but also in the future. So that's really good. And the cool thing about working with a step van business loan representative through national funding is that you are getting the best of the best when it comes to advice, because those reps are generally very knowledgeable about the transportation industry in general, particularly the step van business industry. So having expertise from those folks, having advice from those folks is really good. So in today's conversation, I really talked to you about the step van business loans that quickly approved. I gave you the review and now the recap. In terms of review, you have number one outline, then Lendio, then Balboa Capital, CAG Truck Capital, Commercial Fleet Financing, First Capital Business Finance, and National Funding. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.